Hey paper lovers, welcome by my first video for Scrap Academy. And this week is term 2 mixed media, week 8 layering textures and mixed media effects. So we started with a 6x8 mixed media cardstock, and at the back I used some edge shave tape, and I'm already cut some design paper on size for behind this mixed media cardstock. And when I've done with my edge shave tape, I also use some glue because the edge shave tape is very sticky, so you can always correct it if it goes wrong. I cut two design strips papers to size and roll the sides a bit. I also use my distress tool to distress the edges extra, and I rolled a little bit, and in this way you get more layers in dimensioning your scrapbook layout. And it's easy to slide some vellum in between those layers. So we start also with some vellum, and I want to make a Halloween layout, so I choose to stamp on my vellum to make a border of a spider web. So I use a spider web stamp for this idea. And to stamp on vellum, I use Stazon ink because Stazon ink is water resistant, and it stamps very well on Stazon, but also on glass, metal, acetate, wood. Dus I think it's a perfect ink to stamp on my vellum. I want to make a border, so I use my ruler and my pencil to make a line, and I can stamp several times with my spider web on my vellum. And when I have a border, I cut it out with my scissor, and I slide it between the two strips on my scrapbook layout. Here I cut the spider webs out with my scissor that I created with my Sazon inks and my spider web stamp on my vellum to create a vellum border. And I place this vellum border between the design paper strips for even more layers because I like the effect. I like different layers in my scrapbook layout, and I also like to use vellum in my projects. So yes, I'm very happy with it, with this idea. And we're going to the next step, to make a background. And for the background we use colorburst. I like colorburst. It's a pigment powder. You don't need much because it's very lot of pigments in it. Very bright, also very bright, and I like bright colors. Vibrant colors, I think vibrant, very vibrant. I sprinkle a little bit of this powder on the mixed media cardstock, and I use a brush to spread it a little bit out, and then we use this brush sprayer, and we spray a little bit water, not too much, a little bit, and we dry it a little bit with the heat tool, and then we dab it a little bit also with the paper towel. And it is the result. It's a color burst. It's literally a burst on your layout, and I like the effect of color burst. You can make also inked with it. You sprinkle a little bit pigment powder on your craft sheet, and you can make splatters with your pen, with your brush. But you also can stamp, because you made here a little bit inked with it, with water and powder, and with pencil you stamp also with it. And I like it, the idea of making stamps with this medium. So I don't make stamps in this project, but it's opportunity you have. You can stamp with your colorburst. You also give your texture paste a color with it, a little bit powder mixed with your texture paste, and then you can give your texture paste color. So it's also a fun way to do. And of course you can use a little bit of plastic and you do the packing technique with it. And there is so much more what you can do with colorburst, so I like colorburst. And now we start with the background from my layout. Here I sprinkle a little bit colorburst on my layout, and with the pencil I spread a little bit out, and then we spray with my distress sprayer and on it, and we get a beautiful burst on my layout. And I do this several times. I sprinkle a little bit powder and spray a little bit of water, and I do this till I'm satisfying and dry everything well with my heat tool. And when everything is dry, then we continue to apply a second mixed media layer, and I do that with distress ink and a stencil. But for now you can watch a little bit more of how I use my color burst on my layout, and I'll be back to you when I start with the second mixed media layer. I've just a little note. I'm using here mixed media paper. If you don't have mixed media paper, no problem. You can use your design paper or your regular cardstock, is not a problem. But my advice is apply first some gesso, let it dry, and then you can work with mixed media on your paper. Um, because the gesso, it gives your paper a little an extra layer, and because you work with mediums and water, and paper and water is not a good combination, so the gesso gives your paper a little bit extra layer to work on it. So that's my advice. If you don't have mixed media paper, first apply some gesso on your paper or your design paper, and then you can work with your mixed media. So my background with the color burst is ready to go. It's dry and well, and here I started with the layering of the um, design paper strokes and my spiderweb vellum. And when I put the layers on my layout, I use sticky adhesive tape. Then we start going to make second mixed media layout, and I do that with the distress oxides black shoot, and a stencil, and you can guess what for stencil I want to use. Is spiderweb stencil. Yes, because it's a Halloween layout and I love spider webs. I don't like spiders, but I love um, spiders and spider webs on my layout. So here I start layering my photo with design paper. I already cut some design paper on size and put it behind my photo, and I also use a little bit of vellum behind my design papers, between my design papers. So I use some vellum between my design papers with my photo, and I use some vellum border that I made. Here I got some vellum on size so I can put it behind the photo, and then after that we're going to make a second mixed media layer on my scrapbook layout. So now it's time for mixed media layer 2 on my colorburst background, and I use this dress ink and a stencil from spiderwebs, and I want to make a spiderweb border also on my background, colorburst background. And here I use my distress applicator, and I pick up some ink and I rub it over the stencil, so you get prints of the stencil on your background, on your your mixed media layout. And I do this 3 times, so you can see there is a border coming up. And when I'm done with this mixed media layer, then we go to the next step, and that is decorating my scrapbook page. So now it's time to decorate my scrapbook page, and I already made a selection from some die cuts, labels, and a cutout from a metal die from LL and Create. And here I'm a little bit try to figure out where I want to have my labels and my word strips. I have a lot of decoration here because I love to make clusters, layering clusters on my layout. Here I'm going to struggle with some labels and a word strip, and a bed, of course, because it's Halloween. I want to use this little cat, but the legs are too long. It's not fit because it's too big. So I cut off the legs from this cat, and I slide it between to the design papers. And this nice thing of scrapbooking, if it doesn't fit, you make it fit. So okay, here I'm also make a cluster from a label, word strip, and die cuts. And this is spider web. It's a card stock sticker. Here also a little spider I like to use on this layout. Another bed. Here a word strip on the side from this layout, and I want to use also some perspectives from Rumble Fox. I like the perspectives on my layouts, and those black ones fits perfect with this Halloween layout. So yes, I'm satisfying, and now I use my adhesive tape to stick everything together, and at the end we make some splatters on this layout. And here I use my distress etcher to distress to ruffle the edges from the die cuts and the word strips for more for more dimension in your work, and I really like that torn look. It's a little bit torn and ruffled, and I like that look on my layouts. So I do this with a lot of die cuts and labels I use, and also I do that with the design paper that I put behind the photo. Also I torn and ruffle the edges, and here I'm busy with my labels and my word strip, and when everything is in place, now then we go to the next step, and that's making some splatters, but I always being busy with decorating the page. It's the most of the time of my scrapbook page I'm been busy with decorating, and how I want to have my labels and die cuts. It's really a puzzle for me, but at the end I'm happy, and I like my layouts. So it's just a way of therapy, I think. A sort of a mindfulness scrapbooking. Just slide the die cuts and everything over your page, and thinking, is this okay? No, I wanted I want something else. Oh, here I want to use some sequence of, oh, I want to use another label. It's I like the way of decorating this way. For my photo I using a 3D foam, because the photo will really a little bit popping up of the page, and I can slide easily die cuts underneath the photo, and so I building my layers on this layout. And now it's splatter time. Mostly when I'm done with decorating my scrapbook page or scrap project, I made some white splatters on my layout. And I do it with acrylic inks. I mix it with some water, and with my brush I splatter around. If you don't have acrylic inks, no problem. You can also use your gesso or your acrylic paints and mix it with a little bit of water, and with your brush you splatter it around on your work. And I like that effect very much, so I do it often. And for this project I not only use the white acrylic inks but also the black acrylic inks, and I splatter it around on this project. And yeah, I think it's a great look. So here I start. I before I add it to the black inks. I want to. It's important to dry the white ink first, because you don't want to mix the splatters with each other. One then they are gray. So you have to splatter with different colors. Is no problem, but uh, first make sure the first layer with splatters is dry when you start to the next layer with splatters. And now it's my layout. It's done. It's finished. I hope you enjoy my video for Scrap Academy. I had a lot of fun, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.